Good morning, students. Oh, I forgot to write down the lesson today. So today's lesson is lesson 6.8. Remember, you need to be writing all of this on your notes. And the title is Finding the Equation of a line given 2 points. So this is exactly what it says it is. You're going to be given 2 points and you're going to have to write the equation. Okay, so we've learned a couple of different types of equations or what they are. So we have, if it is ax plus by equals c, that is the standard form. And then the y-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. That's slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form. And then the one that we learned yesterday is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And this is point slope form. So they really tell you what you need them for. Okay, so slope-intercept form means that you have the slope and you have the y-intercept. Point slope form means you have a point and you have the slope. Okay, so today we're going to be using 2 points. So we're going to kind of be using both of these last ones here. We're not learning a new one, but we are learning a new formula. Okay, so we're going to use the slope formula. So to find the slope when you have 2 points is you're going to take y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So when you have 2 points, you're going to have, okay, let me write it like this first, right? If I have 2 points, then those would be my 2 points. So your first set would be x1, y1, and your second set would be x2, y2. So those little ones and twos just mean which order pair they are, the first set or the second set. That's it. Okay, so I'm going to do one example with you, and then you're going to do 2 more on your own. Okay, so example 1, if you have point 1, 3 and 4, negative 2, they want you to write an equation, okay, for the line that passes through these 2 points. So first, I'm going to find my slope. So first, find slope. So I am going to use this equation to find my slope. So I'm going to write it down like this, and then I'm going to kind of erase things while I'm going. Okay, so the first one is y2. So remember, y2 is this last number, so that means that's negative 2. So instead of y2 here, I'm going to put a negative 2. Okay, and then y1 is the last number in the first set. Okay, so that's this one, 3. So instead of y1 right here, I'm going to put 3. Okay, now to do my x's. So x2, which I'm erasing right now, is the last x, so that's the 4. And x1 is 1. Okay, now I can solve this. So I can put this into my calculator and do negative 2 minus 3, and you would get negative 5. And 4 minus 1 is 3. And so that's my slope. And that's what I want to find first is my slope. Okay? And now I have a point and I have a slope. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to say, well, I have a point and I have a slope. So this is the formula I'm going to use, right? Okay, so let's go back down here and I'm going to write that formula out. Okay, we just do this in notes all the time to help you in remembering what you're putting where. So remember that this y and this x stay, and then we're going to fill in everything else. So I have y minus 3 equals, now where did I get that 3 from? Up here. Remember, we're using the first point, so this is the y, okay? And then my slope is what I figured out just a minute ago, 5/3. Remember, that's right here, okay? And then x stays, and x1 is this one, right? So it's 1. Okay, so I figured out the equation, or an equation, but they will ask you to turn it into slope-intercept form. So we did a lot of this yesterday. So to turn it into slope-intercept form, I have to do distributive property here. So I get negative 5/3 x, and then that's going to be plus 5/3 because I have a negative times a negative. And then I'm going to add 3 on both sides. Now, if you have a hard time with adding these fractions, you can use a calculator. You just need to learn how to use the fraction key. Usually I walk around and help kids learn how to use their fraction key, but I'm not there right now. So you could maybe Google it to figure it out. It's hard for me to show you if I don't know which kind of calculator. So you can either put this into your calculator if you know how, or change them to have common denominators. So 3 with the common denominator of 3. I have 5 plus 9, that's 14/3. And now I'm done. That can't be reduced, and so this is my answer. Now that one was a little bit harder because it had a lot of fractions. They're not all like that, okay? Okay, so let's try the next example on your own. So I'm going to give you 2 points. Your 2 points are, and this one does have fractions also, so use your calculator. Okay, example 2 is going to be negative 5, 2, and 3, negative 4. So follow the steps that we did up here. In fact, all I wrote was first find slope. I should have given you some other directions to write down. Okay, so second, you put into point slope, and down it, then last change to, oops, this one should have been, this one should have been right here. Last change to slope intercept. Okay, so those are the 3 things you're going to do. You're going to find the slope, put into point slope form, and then change it into slope intercept form. Okay, so go ahead and hit pause and do that now. Okay, everybody should be back. We're going to first find the slope of negative 4 minus 2 over 3 minus negative 5. So remember, I'm taking the y's, taking this one and subtracting them, and then I'm taking the x's, this one, and subtracting them. Okay, so I get negative 6 over 8, and that can be reduced. So make sure that you reduce it if it can be reduced, or simplify it, and that's my slope. Okay, now I'm going to use this point right here and the slope, and we're going to write it in point slope form. Now you see how, oops, not point form, point slope form. Okay, so that's going to be y minus 2 equals negative 3/4 times x minus negative 5. Okay, now I'm going to multiply, but before I do that, I'm going to change this to plus. Okay, or actually, I'm just going to erase this, and now we have a plus. Or I probably shouldn't erase it. So, oops. That way you can see what I did. Okay, now let's do the multiplication. We're going to do negative 3/4 times everything. So I get negative 3/4 x minus, or I could put plus a negative, 15/4. Okay, now I'm going to add 2 on both sides. and I get y equals negative 3/4 x. And then when I do this problem right here, I have negative 15/4 plus 2, which is 8/4. Okay, I'm going to subtract those, right? So I get negative 7/4. I'm subtracting them because this one's negative. Okay, and nothing else can be reduced, so that is my answer. Did y'all get that? Okay, hopefully you did. Let's move on to example 3. Okay, example 3 is we have 7/4 and 7/2 as our points. Okay, so write, go ahead and hit pause and try this on your own. Okay, let's find the slope. So I have 2 minus 4 over 7 minus 7. So I get negative 2 over 0. This is undefined. Remember, we talked about a 0 being on the bottom as being undefined when we were doing slope. So this means that it is a vertical line, and I cannot walk up that vertical line. Remember, that's how we remembered that it's a vertical line. Okay, so what do? We have, it's not 0, so I can't put it into an equation to be 0. So instead, I have to remember what equations are for vertical lines. And that is x equals something, okay? Well, how do we know what x equals? All we have to do is look up here into this part and say, well, what was x on both of these? X was 7. That means my x is going to equal 7. Okay, so an easy way, if you want to, on all of these, is before you write out your equation, is look at your points and see if your x's or y's match. So if I have 2 points where I have 1, 3 and negative 4, 3, I really don't have to do anything because I see my y's match. So this is going to be y equals 3. If I have one where I have the x's are matching, okay, then that tells me, oh, my x's are the same, so I'm going to get x equals 0. Okay, so this is how you would figure these out. Now, some of the equations say they want to know, actually, no, they don't on your homework. That was something else. Oh, no, they do. On the first part of your homework, it says also to find the y-intercept. Okay, so let's go back up here. If it asked me for my y-intercept on this one, that's why we're changing it into slope-intercept. My y-intercept is this. So I would say my y-intercept is 0, negative 7/4. Or a student asked me before how they write that when they ask for y-intercept. Or you could write it like this, b equals negative 7/4. Okay, both of those are correct. And your book sometimes does it one way, and another day it will do it a different way. So looking at the answers, it might be different each time. So this one, the this y-intercept would be 14/3. Remember, it's just this last one. And, oh, that's example 1, example 2. And so what would be the y-intercept of this? There is no y-intercept. Because if I had a graph going on here, and x equals 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then my graph would be a vertical line on 7. And see how it doesn't ever cross the y-intercept. So this one has no y-intercept. Okay, and that's it for today. Goodbye.